Let's talk some major product categories. One of the largest distinctions we make when determining and describing our products has a lot to do with the customer. So as a discussion question, have you ever been to a warehouse club such as Sam's or Costco? You'll notice business and final consumers often purchase the same items there. But how might these purchases be different? It boils down to effectively, what is its purpose? What is the purpose of that product? What will it be used for? End consumption or to fulfill an organizational goal? And it is possible that some products might be part of both groups. Just depends on the use. So what? Well, selling the same product to final consumers and business customers may require at least two different strategies. So just something to think about, in what way certain products might be used for both, as a way to both tailor your mix and just to think in terms of a thought exercise about if you were to grow and do the other segment, what would it be like? This book includes more definitions for products meant to be sold to organizations. The major distinctions are components versus support products. Again, it's a matter of knowing why this term may be useful to a marketer, perhaps selling said product, or for the organizational customer who may want to buy. You can envision how you can better estimate the types of demand for each, depending on the way organizations purchase items or anticipate their own needs. So big ideas, I'm not looking for you to know each and every one, since I know all of your desired fields are different. My key interest is making sure you have a sense that they exist and could probably look into it and say, hey, I have an idea why it makes sense to make these distinctions. Consumer product classes, similar to the organizational categories, are based on how consumers think about and shop for these products. So keep in mind, we don't usually use these for organizational customers. They can still inform how we market based on the type of organizational buyer. So we have things like convenience products, purchased quickly and with little effort, but they come in many forms. So you can think about it. They're purchased quickly and with little effort, but what types of forms might they take? So for some, staples are bought often, not literal staples, but staples as in items we need on a regular basis, say milk or bread or rice. So staples are bought often, routinely, and without much thought. And branding makes it so that they are considered easier to remember and find. Another type of convenience product would be an impulse buy, because they are purchased quickly and with little effort as well. They are bought quickly, usually on planned purchases, because of some strongly felt need. They may be strongly affected by the immediate situation, so I'm suddenly hungry. Our prime example is the checkout stand candy and gum. My local Albertsons tends to put out small, clear packs of cake slices and cookies. And another type of convenience product? Emergencies. Those are purchased immediately when the need is great. Consumers don't shop around for these products or ask how much they cost, they just need it. These can be very situational. For one person, the cart at the store is an emergency product. For another, it's the primary place they always get it. So you can see the reason that it makes sense to look into these, because we can get a better sense of how we tailor our mix. And notice how you'll want to lay these out differently, effectively. Just for these convenience products alone, staple, impulse, and emergency, if you're laying out a store or a type of outlet. You can imagine how services and organizational products can be similar in terms of acting as a convenience. It's very dependent on the industry and organization though. Shopping products. These basically engender more involvement and more information collected on part of the consumer, and usually more evaluation of alternatives. These are often things like appliances or maybe things like a restaurant that you're going to take an expensive, important client to. What about specialty products? These are where customers are willing to seek these out. In essence, there are no good substitutions. You don't have to put them in every outlet. You can find as you would put a stick of gum. You can say, this is where we're at, and everyone will come to us. Finally, unsought products. There's two different types. Effectively, customers don't seek you out, either because they don't know about you yet, or they really don't want to think about you. So, funeral services have these issues where they've got to try to get people to think about these things. So knowing the broad categories is useful for both these and how we divide business products, because as you can imagine, this will help you tailor your marketing plan. And can you imagine? And so take a look. What are some examples for each? And this is always useful for remembering these better. Make up your own example. So what type of convenience products do you know? Shopping, specialty, unsought. What about components and support products? Take an organizational customer and divide them up for which one's probably which. Now think about your own marketing plan product. Where would your product lie for your marketing plan if it's a consumer product? What about as a business product? My Samsung battery was not very substitutable. However, I could potentially seek out different retailers. The battery could be very much a business product as well. And so take a look at your own product and think in what ways might it be categorized and how that might help. Here's a handy chart the book supplies that shows how the different classes of consumer product may impact the marketing mix. Just as a fun video, insurance is an example of a regularly unsought product, where customers regularly just don't want to actually think or buy this. So let's discuss. Why make such a commercial? What might their objectives be? So hopefully you took time to look at the commercial. Notice they seek to demonstrate their value through their commercial. They're very extreme, vivid stories. A humor appeal is also useful because many customers are likely avoiding the purchase because it's hard to think about when bad things happen. In this case, they and all sorts of insurance companies let you know they've got you covered. Humor helps to bridge by assuaging the fears and feelings of the customer. So what type of consumer product am I? And yes, definitely, it's probably also an organizational product too, but let's go with consumer for now. So what did you think? Well, some of you probably realize, hey, wait a minute. One product may be seen in several ways. And likewise, consumers may see a single product in several ways. So this dish could be a convenience good for someone as wealthy as Bill Gates, who has a saltwater aquarium, or someone who has an outer office or a waiting room. The fish could be a shopping good for the owner of a saltwater aquarium who is on a tighter budget. The fish could be a specialty good for a saltwater aquarium that must have this particular type of fish and will accept no substitute. Like so many other concepts in marketing, product classes do need to be viewed from the standpoint of the consumer, not just of the manager. So in sum, the product categories aren't always clear-cut. As you can imagine, this exercise is useful to discerning segments. Keep in mind too, though, that the categories, they're just tools. We talk about, components versus social support versus specialty versus unsought and so on, but they're just tools. They're not the end, be-all, final answer. You have to make the decision for yourself that works for your target market and product. So next section, we'll start talking about product quality.